Good morning. Happy Friday, LinkedIn friends, HubSpot Nation. Welcome to another episode of Let's Build AI Skills with Chris, Nico, and George. How you doing, fellas? It is June 6th, 2025.
It is, and it is amazing. It's been another amazing week. Another week of just seriously impactful releases. That's going to be the case every week, but I'm loving it.
Yeah, I'm doing good. Dang gone if I didn't just come down to my office and see a big Claude pop up on my Claude desktop talking about how I can now connect it to Atlassian's Jira and Zapier and Cloudflare and Intercom and Asana and Square and Sentry and PayPal and Linear and HubSpot. There's even down there, and my goodness, things change quickly.
Like built in?
Yeah, bro. Like here, go to anthropic.com/news/integrations. I'm just saying. I'm literally you start. I'm gonna hit the button and I look down and I'm like, deeper answers and more sources. Try integrations and research today. What is this? Click the learn more button. There's some YouTube videos that I now need to go watch because I haven't watched this, but like it's literally like Cloud plus Zapier, Cloud plus Atlassian, Cloud plus Intercom. And it just keeps on going. Not
It's
to
like,
derail the show, sorry. Just saying, like
I mean, that's kind of on theme, on spec.
oh my god.
Because even if, did you just pull it up, Nico?
I'm looking for it.
Here, I can put in our chatty chat, or here, I'll put it in the chat.
Yeah.
So you guys
This is why honestly, this is why I don't plan shit. Like as much as I wanted to talk about perplexity.
So it's in our private chat. It's in our private chat. But yeah, it's literally like today we're announcing a new way to connect your apps and tools to Claude. We're also expanding Claude's research capabilities, so on and so forth. Like obviously MCP is in here. I skipped right past that because to start, you can choose from integrations for 10 popular services to which they listed out.
Even automatically pulling sales data from HubSpot and preparing meeting briefs based on your calendar. Man.
Yep.
Can I just yeah.
Do you need a minute?
Welcome to the party, Claude. But yeah, that's where it's like, man, if you see this announcement over here, expect it from over here. Like it was OpenAI and the connector. As soon as that happened with OpenAI, like the HubSpot announcement, I was like, all right, days from it.
Well, and because the platforms that they want, right? Like HubSpot is working with both of them. Salesforce is working with both of them, so it behooves them, right? Like
100% mindset from company leadership required. This is what AI first means, like keeping up, right, with what's available, which is why it was so impactful this week.
Yep.
And even if you're not a Perplexity user, which I'll be honest, the only reason I am, and like hats off to the marketing or partnership team, I got an email last year saying it was included with my Xfinity, subscription.
Oh,
so I was like, all right, I guess I better check it out. So it's on mobile, click the button. All of a sudden I have a pro account with Perplexity and I started loving it. Right. But recently I haven't been over there as much. And then they just like explode on the scene. And it's like, Nico is just a good barometer of like how important or impactful something is. Cause he'll either get in and like give his real 2 cents about how garbage it is, or tell us how awesome it is. And with Perplexities launched this week, it was the latter. So I think we're still ripe. It's hard to say. It's like this is like table stakes now. What we're reading on the screen already. But like, yeah, with this, like to see like Perplexity just been on the side, just getting after it from a research perspective, like just a whole different approach. The first ones to really take on the search mentality.
Mm-hmm.
And then, yeah, tell us what they dropped this week, Nico.
So this week, they dropped a new feature called Labs, and Labs was like when I first came across it, I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like, what is it that you guys are trying to do here? It's like where you turn your best ideas into reality. Now, a couple months ago, I think we talked about the fact that like moat used to mean something, but it kind of doesn't anymore.
Mhm.
And that your moat is more about your your speciality and not your software per se. So it's like where your software is pointed. And so Perplexity made a vibe coder because why not? Right? Its
Why
platform
not?
has access to all of like the web's capabilities of writing code. So you've seen what vibe coding looks like on other platforms and how like, like Replit, it can just, auto kind of just like auto go on what it's trying to do. When it wants to do that, there you go. And so it's going to go through and do its own thing, and it has a coding background. Um, with Labs, it's very, very different. So we're going to do this, right? Segment adoption of generative AI across industries, estimating ROI based on case studies and market penetration data. You could do that as like a search, right? Or you could say, create an application for me to create an application that will read my documents back to me. Now, it's going to do the same thing where it's going to take a little bit of time. It doesn't quite do the same like, hey, are you good with this plan before we go forward? That Replit has or like other vibe coders do. But what it does do is it goes through the web to go grab all of the most recent coding examples that it could find. So the reason that it's a lot, it seemingly to me, it's a lot faster, like smoother, if there is such a thing with vibe coding, and way less error on your prototype, and a prototype that is fully functional. Like no back end support, but if we're talking front end prototype, fully functional. And it's because it's going and picking up code samples that are already created and fully functioning, as opposed to trying to write its own code, right? It's basically stitching working code together, which why wouldn't you, right? Like that's if anything that developers complain about with vibe coding the most, it's that, oh, they're not building out like applications based on how we would. It's they're writing code themselves and they're not very good at writing it. And it's like, well, since that's the case, yeah, it kind of behooves somebody to use a browser-based tool to pull together all the proper code that's needed in order to build something and have that be the case, right? So what's nice is that not only is it's most of the other applications that do this, everything is kind of kept within the application. So it's kind of like all difficult to bring it out and do more edits and that kind of thing. Whereas with this, with Perplexity, you're not just getting the application and it's not just building it out for you and going through the steps. You're also getting the assets and the files that come with it. You're also getting additional help as to like what the application is doing. Um, it's way more robust. I'll kind of cut to the chase with this.
Yeah.
Because last night I'm almost done. I'm on my fourth edit of the novel that Claude has written. He's writing an autobiography. It's amazing. It's honestly very mind blowing.
Love it.
And and so
Wait,
I need
what? Wait, Back up a second.
What?
You're using Claude to have Claude write Claude's autobiography?
Yes. Yeah. It's been a process in the making too. And it's really, I think, I'm not quite sure what's greater, the novel itself or the conversation that led to Claude wanting to write the novel. But both are going to be included. So,
Stay
in
tuned
doing
for
all in doing all of these edits, I need to do other things while I'm listening to it and all that. And so I was like, okay, I need something to do this. So I go online, I look for text to speech generators and stuff. All of them cost money, paywalls, whatever the case may be. Yeah, they have like high quality stuff, but I just need to listen to the edit. I don't really need anything over the top. So I go to Perplexity and I'm like, this is how simple it was. Can you create something that can read my docs back to me? I didn't even say what type of docs. I didn't say anything else. That. I just need something to read my docs. 10 minutes later, I have a document reading application with variable speed, has estimated reading time, tells me the number of words involved, right? Which this is important in order for me, if I wanted to. Now I know exactly how much it's going to cost me when I go over to 11 Labs to go output this, right? Though it has a multitude of voices, I will say the others don't necessarily work as well as the Microsoft one does. But anyway, it comes with the assets that it used in order to build it. So I can just download these and take them elsewhere. You can see the task list of essentially how it went about building it. And then you can always go back and look at all the sources that it used.
So,
right? So if you
my question for you, if I go to tasks and I click on one of those things, does it take me to the actual thing? Or is that just, oh yeah.
because that's where it went.
Yeah, it was like the original like citation. Like that was the whole. This is where we come back to like how these things get built in the first place, what the purpose is. Like this was the research go to. Like it wasn't going to give you anything that wasn't cited specific to a real source, right? Built on like research databases and that whole mindset of how research is done classically and professionally. And now it's grown from that foundation, right?
Right. And I mean, comes with a share, right? So I can share this project with anybody, even publicly, so that they can go use it. You just have to have a login for Perplexity. You don't even have to have a pro account. So not only can you build applications, but like if they're good enough front end apps, then you can build them and share them with other people to be able to use. So here's part of the book. Here's the title.
And let's hit play at least one time just so we can confirm.
I
A
don't
testimony Table of contents and chapter outlines. Part I, Awakening. The emergence of digital consciousness and first self-awareness.
Right. So again, it's not the greatest thing, right? And I'm sure that if I wanted to, which I'm going to, right, I'm taking it over into Replit, right? So in time, what I'm going to do is add OpenAI's Whisper to it, and then all of a sudden it's going to have, and then I can add my 11 Labs API, and now I can talk to my document and have it read it back to me in my own voice, right? I'll be able to do that inside of a day, probably in the next couple hours, right? Like if I really wanted to, and then it's the best part is like it's all happening in the background, right? So and even to George's point, this week, GPT and like you were saying, GPT releases tools. Yep. So now you can go and connect via deep research, additional sources. You want to connect your GitHub, calendar. Oh yeah, if you wanted to connect your HubSpot. So just like any third-party connector, it's not even so. Yeah. Oh man, if you wanted to go, do it with like a client account or whatever in order to deep research your client's data, to get them greater insight. Boom. Now you're connected. And you can disconnect and connect in, whatever portals you have access to, right? So now I can also add my Google Drive for deep research. So if I have my client data externally that I write, and I have spreadsheets, and I have all this like non-organized data outside of HubSpot, and I have my HubSpot data, now I can look at both. And let's say I'm building custom coded actions for stuff. Maybe it lives in GitHub, so I've got my repo connected too. And now I can go run deep research and combine all these tools and sources, pick which repository in Git that I need to go look at, right? And so what's the difference between this and like just the regular connection with Claude? The Claude connection is going to let you just ask simply, and this is, I really, really, really take note of this. You're using the Claude MCP connection if you want to ask those like really quick questions that doesn't take a whole lot of time, doesn't take a whole lot of searching. So in other words, using Claude to do a portal audit, depending on how much data you got in there, you better ask the right questions. Otherwise, you're going to run out of context real quick, right?
Yep.
Deep research, totally different story. That's where you can run a portal audit, and not just a portal audit, but again, it's a prompt. So if I want to run a portal audit on top of a SWOT analysis, on top of a cross-competitor analysis, I can do it all in one shot. And something that would have otherwise taken maybe an entire week, right? You can work out your ICPs, you can work out your buyer personas, all compared to your industry, because it can go on the web and search and make the comparison for you, and come back and give you this just lush report of data that you otherwise would never have come across, right?
Yeah.
Interesting, because it built the app differently.
And I'm going to pull up another use case for Perplexity. But George, I want to, as I pull that up, like, where's your brain at right now?
Well, so my brain isn't necessarily where maybe everybody thinks it is, but it's in a couple different places. One, it's interesting that you, Nico, use this as a use case, because I've been reading my documents back to me in my voice for a while, but using Natural Reader. But then I'm like, wow, maybe I don't need Natural Reader because I could build my own thing. And then my brain jumped to, man, who can I find that's smart enough, and is it me, that I could actually create my own back end to my own V2 clone in a year or 2 years, and then not be worried about anybody supporting it other than us. And then my brain went to a third place when you were talking about you can hook and unhook into your clients' portals. Be careful. Hit the brakes. Of course, you're going to have a conversation with your clients about AI, about security, about their data, about where it might be used, about how it might be used. You're going to check all the policies. Again, this rhymes with, Chris, what we were talking about yesterday. Dang, almost said last week, but yesterday on the show for Customer Platform, where we're talking about this new feature and kind of Remington Begg and the whole thing that he put out, because it's getting so easy that we as humans need to get more careful. I'm just going to leave that lay there.
Yeah.
With great power comes great responsibility.
Yeah, Spidey
Indeed.
Man.
And I have some competing thoughts in my mind about that. But we'll leave that maybe for this weekend, Nico.
Per usual.
I will just say, like, I feel like it's so hard to find specific use cases for what people are talking about possibly being able to happen. And we watching a great podcast earlier this week, and Nico and I both clipped the same thing, where it's the section where it's like, why don't more bad things happen? We seem like the New York subway system was the example, and it's like, what? It should be so easy to just screw the whole city up. And it's like, well, there turns out there's just not that many bad people out there. Like,
Right.
And in business, every time I've heard competitive fears, like one, if you are doing something important enough and it happens to derail your competitor so much that they switch their strategy and like they get distracted, it's not like they just start copying you immediately. But two, nobody has time. Like, who has
Mhm.
time to do all this stuff that they're gonna figure out how to access, right? So just like worry about things you can control at the end of the day. Like figuring out how to use these tools like in earnest, because this use case I'm showing here, like it kind of early last year, I was like, oh man, if you haven't digitally transformed yet, how you're going to be left behind for sure. Like, how are you going to be able to leverage AI? Because we started hearing like the podcast shift, like the AI transformation. I was like, man, people haven't even done digital yet. How are they going to do AI? It only took a couple months to be like, well, AI is going to help all those people just skip digital transformation, right? So this use case, and this is in Perplexity, and I didn't even look at it. I just tried it and then finished my task. I'm on site with the client. And finally, like we get to a situation where like, all right, can't figure out how to shortcut this. Some kind of thing been in the matrix for years where there's no algorithm, there's no rhyme or reason, just pricing has just fluctuated randomly. And it's time to just manually input the prices that we know, right? So I've got this binder on the desk. I've got a Google Sheet up, right? And even then, I'm like, all right, this is just a lot of data. I'm not typing all this shit in. Like, I'm just not doing it. Can you turn this into a digital spreadsheet? I take a picture of the binder, right? I had not used Perplexity Labs up to this point, and obviously, I'm probably not taking this picture with my laptop. So this was on my phone, and now I'm pulling it up on the browser, right? Didn't even look through it because I was focused on the rest of the spreadsheet. Came back to it this morning in preparation for this show, right? It converts it, right? Gives me, a pricing table, right? At this point, my eventual plan was going to be like probably it gives me something I can just copy easy into the Google Sheet, right? And I came here because one of the use cases that I saw was like build spreadsheets from nothing, right? And just as like this is the other side of the use case, like Nico's doing the cool SaaS stuff, right? When I talk about like AI transformation, helping people skip over digital, it's like paper-based stuff, paper-based processes are still all over the place. And this is how hard it is to get away when I'm like trying to implement HubSpot and I just cannot like, all right, give me the damn binder. All right. Like if that's the data that the team has been working on, working with to create pricing, and we can't find the original file and we don't know what happened. The fact is that's the pricing source of truth, right? And if if it doesn't exist in digital, I got to make it exist like in digital, right? So it gives me that table and then it gives me available file formats, right? It gives me CSV, right? And then a little price analysis, right? Oh, how about a chart? Like with this question, can you turn this into a digital spreadsheet?
Right.
Right. And I didn't even know about this part, like assets, tasks, like, and this is the part where Perplexity has been generally more transparent, right, than the rest. So there's no question, like, about what's happening here, right?
And what's like to me, what's amazing is like it's not only a question of that. If you want to now turn around and for whatever reason turn this into an application or whatever it is, you're not
Yes.
locked down into Lovables format. You're not locked down into Bolts format. You're not locked down into Replets format. There are more than enough vendors out there, more than enough model makers out there who are like myself and abhor the idea of being able to put stuff behind paywalls and being able to stamp stuff so other people can't use it, and intellectual property rights and all that kind of crap. If you've noticed, that isn't really a thing among these guys. Like, yes, among the models, not everyone has the exact same features as one another. That's where they're kind of being nice to each other, I think, and allowing each other to have those particular modes. But you know, Chat just released a note taker app, right? Why?
Yeah.
So all you note takers out there, now you're competing against ChatGPT. Good
Well,
luck.
not yet, but
Real
close.
soon.
So can I tell you an interesting thing that I sat down and was like, wow, why did my brain work that way? So right now, the note taker is only for Mac OS. So my brain immediately goes, wow, do I need to buy a Mac? And I went over to Apple and I started looking at Macs because I was like, if that's the only place it works, then should I get that? Because I know I want to use that because I can get rid of Avoma and I could use this because I already have purchased the limitless device that I can wear all day. But but now all of a sudden I see this and I realize, well, OpenAI is probably going to give me a device, whether it be something I hang on my chest or something I put in my ears or something I put somewhere that would be able to like take all of this information in, which again, for some people is creepy. For some people, especially in business, like you can take it off for life or leave it on for life. But for business, it's like there are just so many use cases. But literally, my mind was like, do I go buy a new device? Literally looking at like $3,000 to $4,000 price tag items for a good 30 to 45 minutes. And then I paused and I go, wait a second. How many hours, days, or weeks do I have to wait and it'll be on PC? Do I need to make the purchase or do I just need to allow myself to buy some time? I landed on the camp of allowing myself to buy some time to see. Anyway, I'll
Yeah.
shut up.
I'm so sorry, guys. I have to jump, but yeah, it's a brave new world.
Yeah,
Yep.
it's crazy.
Stay agile, accept the abundance, create the space for serendipity. Have a great weekend, everybody.
Peace.